Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out. It's episode 406. Hope you're all having a great day so far, and a great summer so far as well. I do say so far because we've still got a chunk left of August, even though I hear Costco already has Halloween decorations out, if that's true. And hey, I write for Costco Connection magazine. I'm not slamming them because they know what they're doing over there in Issaquah, Washington, outside of Seattle. Very smart people. If it's out at Costco warehouses, that means people are buying Halloween decorations already, or they wouldn't have it on display yet. A listener wrote me to say Home Depot also has its Halloween decorations already. What's going on? I just want everything to slow down a little. That said, I did have a guest on last week on this program who talked about back to school tech. In fact, wherever you're listening to this in the country, you may already be getting ready to go back to school. Crazy. Well, we aren't talking back to school today, but we have a fantastic show for you nonetheless. Let me tell you what's on tap. Visa will help me kick off the show in a moment to chat about its new Cybersecurity Advisory Practice, which gives guidance and support to businesses tied to managing cyber risks. But we'll also get some takeaways as regular consumers who shop online or at retail, how to best protect ourselves in an age where AI attacks are growing in sophistication. My first guest, Carl Rutstein from Visa, will be on in about 60 seconds. He serves as Senior Vice President and Global Head of Visa Consulting and Analytics at Visa. Very nice guy. After that, and speaking of protecting ourselves, Norton will join us on Tech It Out, a leading cybersecurity brand. And in this interview with Norton's Michal Salát, who is Director of Threat Research, we're going to talk about protecting kids online, as we'll hear results tied to Norton's latest Cyber Safety Insights report, this time on connected kids. You're definitely not going to want to miss this chat, especially if you have children, grandkids, or nieces and nephews. And finally, I love when tech can help even the playing field for those with challenges, such as those with a physical disability. I was at an AWS event, Amazon Web Services, and I recorded an interview there about SignSpeak, which provides automated American Sign Language recognition, ASL transcription, and production to help deaf and hard of hearing individuals communicate effectively in virtually any situation. I'll catch up with CEO Yami Payano, and you'll hear the interview later on in the program here on Tech It Out. All of this and more on a brand new episode powered by Visa, which happens to be our first of 3 guests today. So without further delay, let's officially kick off a new Tech It Out with our first interview. I know there are many business owners and IT decision makers who tune into this radio show and podcast. And so you're going to want to hear this next interview with Visa about its new Cybersecurity Advisory Practice, which provides guidance and support to businesses on managing cyber risks and improving their security posture. Joining us from Visa is Carl Rutstein. He's Senior Vice President and Global Head of Visa Consulting and Analytics. Good to chat with you, Carl. Thanks so much for your time.
Oh, of course. Thank you, Mark.
Before we talk about Visa's new Cybersecurity Advisory Practice and a newly published report, I believe it's entitled Countering Emerging Cyber Threats in Payments, please tell us a bit about your role as Global Head of Advisory Services for Visa. What does that mean exactly?
So we built up an advisory practice to support our clients, and we do exactly what you would expect a consulting firm bolted onto a network would do. We help our clients, and those could be large bank issuers, they could be large acquirers, they could be large merchants, but they're also any size bank or merchant or fintech player, anyone connected to Visa, we're helping them. And we're helping them essentially do 4 things. It's easy to think about it around acquisition, engagement, retention, and risk. We help our clients get more customers, get more out of those customers, keep those customers, and manage things like authorization and fraud. And what we're focusing on today is how we're helping them with cybersecurity. And just to give you a frame of reference, as we said during our investor day earlier, we did over $1.3 billion of advisory work with our clients. We have well over 2,000 professionals. These are consultants, data scientists, economists, product specialists that really are dedicated helping our clients against those four buckets. And we are very focused and dense. So we do about 5,000 projects a year just against those four things. So we're very, very deep.
Sounds it. I attended your Visa product drop in the Bay Area a couple of months back, but this is, I guess, different than the investor day.
Yes, there are two different things. And gosh, the product drop between Ryan and Oliver and Jack, it really blew a lot of people away on what agentic commerce is going to be doing. If you could dream it, AI could do it. So it's actually quite interesting.
Yeah, awesome, Carl. If our listeners want to hear that interview, by the way, about agentic AI and what Visa is doing and what they predict the near future holds, they can just do a search on their favorite podcast platform for Tech It Out and the word Visa, and you'll find it. But we've got you to talk about the Cybersecurity Advisory Practice, but clearly, as you just mentioned, those four buckets, your world is much broader than cybersecurity. But let's zoom in there. Please remind our listeners how much Visa has invested in this space over the past few years.
It's really important to remember, this is like the reason Visa exists. We think of cybersecurity and protecting the ecosystem as a core part of our mission. And therefore, we want to create a secure and trusted ecosystem where consumers and businesses could exchange goods for payments. Protecting the ecosystem from fraud or cybersecurity is just what we've been doing and always have done and always will do. The tricky part is fraud is an ever-evolving challenge. So to answer your question, we spent over $12 billion on technology and infrastructure just in the last 5 years, which includes cybersecurity and fraud prevention. So it's our proactive approach to protecting the integrity of the network. And to put this impact in perspective, Mark, in the US alone, we blocked over $14 billion of presumed fraud. It's a 30% increase from the prior year. So the success is powered by our significant advancements in fraud prevention, AI-powered threat detection, and really our network resilience. It's core to what we do, and it's one of the reasons that we're launching this cybersecurity advisory practice, just continue to help our clients in this area.
That was 12 billion with a B.
Yeah, right.
Ironically, just as the cyber criminals are leveraging AI to steal from businesses, governments, and individuals, AI can also be used by the likes of Visa to fight back, to predict something that doesn't seem right and flag and quarantine and then remove those threats so we can get on with our transactions. Awesome. So with that in mind, Carl, that's a great segue as to why Visa established this focused advisory practice.
So we decided to launch this cybersecurity advisory practice just because our clients were asking about it. Clients need deeper, more proactive support in just navigating the complexities of today. So as digital commerce expands, and it's been a 300% surge of internet fraud just over the last few years. So our clients are just increasingly looking for ways to proactively identify, evaluate, and obviously mitigate these cyber threats. And this new practice just builds on our proven capabilities to help the ecosystem. So as I mentioned, we got a global network of over 2,000 consultants, data scientists, economists, product experts, and we really want to get embedded with our clients to help them, frankly, improve their cybersecurity capabilities, starting with their strategy, going into a maturity assessment, and then helping them, evolve as these needs and demands continue to evolve. I mean, just to give you a sense, there's a few sort of services that we provide just to make this real. So one is under what we call our Cybersecurity Institute, which is really connected to VC University. This is just, security workshops. So training and awareness for employees. Another is a cybersecurity maturity assessment where we empower organizations to just understand what's required, what the gaps are, and to ultimately help them mitigate. And then one of the ones that is just easy to understand once you explain it, but it is one of those words that I'm sure when you interviewed my colleague, Mike Jabara, he mentioned, but enumeration defense. This is just a specialized service where the criminals are essentially finding weak merchants and just pinging them with purchase transactions with, I don't want to say random because there's an algorithm underneath it, but just 16-digit PAN numbers, CVVs, and expiration dates to just find cards that work. And then when they find a card that works, they just do a bunch of purchases. So we leverage artificial intelligence to just watch this. And when we see these patterns, we shut them down. So just last year, we blocked over 150 million fraudulent transactions, which were essentially enumeration attempts.
Wow, those are big numbers. Carl, could you tell us a bit about AI and how it's being leveraged by fraudsters? You touched on this already, and I mentioned how AI can both hurt and help the payments space. Can you elaborate a bit more on that?
Sure, of course. As Visa's core mission is the largest credit card network, it is our job number one to protect the safety and security, and we are a trust-based business. AI has become a double-edged sword in cybersecurity. So in the same way that we want to protect the ecosystem, fraudsters are using AI to exploit it. And they're doing it at scale, and they're being incredibly, frankly, creative and industrious. So I'll give you 3 quick examples. So one, it used to be when you wanted to do phishing training for your employees, how to find phishing scams, you normally say misspelling or subject-verb mismatch or other typos. Now with large language models, they write highly convincing memos. So there are no more spelling errors as a telltale sign. Phishing emails and text messages in particular that you get on your phone can look incredibly legitimate.
More with Carl Rutstein from Visa when we return, including a pretty scary story that can happen to any one of us. We'll be right back with more Tech It Out.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. We are chatting with Carl Rutstein, who serves as global head of Visa's advisory business. Visa, if you weren't aware, is the largest credit card company in the world in terms of purchase volume and the number of cards in circulation. We're talking about combating evolving cyber threats in the payments space. Before the break, Carl, you were about to share a story about deepfakes, how AI can be used as an effective tool to defraud people. Please continue your thoughts.
Sure. Well, I was out for dinner the other night and someone was telling me about their adult kid who got scammed from a utility here in Illinois. I live in Chicago. And, they had the phone number, they had the person's name and other basic facts. And before she knew it, she was out several $100s to pay a bill that she didn't owe. Another example is creating synthetic identities at scale. So this is enabling mass account creation. And then fraudulent rings are just very hard to detect because they're flooding the system. The one that is the most scariest, and I have a specific recommendation for your listeners, are deepfake videos and sort of voice clones. These are highly convincing impersonations, and they trick people into transferring funds. So I won't out my colleague, but one of my coworkers I was talking with on a Monday, and he said the craziest thing happened on Saturday. I got a call from my daughter who was frantic. She had just run through a stop sign and hit a woman who was pregnant who had to go to the hospital, and she was arrested. And she was incredibly distraught and crying on the phone. And the police officer came on and explained that they're going to have to hold her till the courts open on Monday. So she's going to have to spend Sunday in jail. And as my colleague tried to post bail, a court-appointed lawyer was able to do something. With the help of the judge on the weekend, I guess, but he needed $15,000 in cash for bail. So while my colleague was driving around San Francisco to find $15,000 cash on a Saturday, he eventually connected with his son-in-law who said, "What are you talking about? She's in the bathroom brushing her teeth."
Oh, wow.
The whole thing was a fake. And it was his daughter crying on the phone with her voice and everything. So my advice to your listeners, and I did this for, my kids, come up with a safe word. Come up with a word that if any of your family members are calling in distraught and they need funds, just ask them, your goldfish's name growing up or something. And if they don't know that name, just hang up on it. So it's pretty scary out there.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you for sharing that and great advice. That was going to be my next question. How do we fight back? A lot of our listeners, they don't know what to do. They feel helpless. Any other suggestions?
Sure. First, you want to be proactive. It's easy to be reactive. Something happens and then you want to react to it, but you're going to have to lean in. So first, for our clients, we stress adhering to payment standards like PCI DSS, which just stands for Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, just to stay up to date on all the standards that we put out. Assessing cybersecurity maturity level. So we work with clients to assess, how mature they are, conduct regular testing, audit the systems, implement what we call, or I think what is called, a zero trust concept, which assumes attacks can originate both externally and internally, and therefore it does require multiple authentications when people are using the system. Our advisory practice, which really does leverage AI and the expertise of our consultants, is a great start, not to put in a sales plug for our advisory, but we literally have these assets available and capabilities to help our clients. It's why we built up this business. So we do want to have our clients take advantage of it. And then even for the smallest of merchants, we could do threat modeling and incident response. At the end of the day, we're meeting clients where they are and helping them get to be where they need to be.
All great advice. And also for consumers as well, like you shared, having a safe word.
Yes.
Not trusting anybody, like always have your backup. Like if you get a text message, an unsolicited message, even if it looks legit, or a phone call that sounds legit, do your due diligence. Call your bank, for example, with the number you already have for them, maybe on the back of the card, not with the number that's in the text message or email. Just some common sense tips, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And what about shopping? Before I let you go, how do we remain more cyber safe when buying something both online and at retail?
Well, we have a role to play in protecting ourselves. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, use your credit or debit card. Visa spends billions of dollars protecting the ecosystem, and you often have zero liability. So if you have an option to use your Visa credit or your Visa debit card, that is always the best option to protect you from liability. Now, in addition to that, just be wary of offers that seem too good to be true. When shopping online, it's easy to say, but if you hadn't heard of the retailer, be a little suspect. Never click on links via email or SMS, text messages. Be mindful of what you share on social media, because the example I gave you before, Mark, the person I went out for dinner with, this bill from a utility in Illinois felt legitimate because they knew this person's name and they knew her address, and therefore she, transferred the funds. And when she reached back to the utility, they're like, we have no idea what you're talking about. So be vigilant.
All great advice. And yeah, I've heard a lot of these deep fakes, whether it's audio or video, are based on clips that we ourselves have uploaded to social media. Maybe of something that your daughter or your grandson said, and they just need a couple of seconds of their face or their voice in order to create something more sophisticated. So it is pretty scary times. But like you said, with buyer protection, it's a no-brainer to use your Visa card. Awesome, Carl. It's been great chatting with you. Is there a website we can leave our listeners with to learn more?
Yes, visa.com/protect. And you can navigate to all our resources from that URL.
Visa.com/protect. Carl, thank you so much for your time. It's a pleasure to have you on the program for the first time. Hopefully it won't be the last. All the best. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mark. It's terrific.
Speaking of protection, when we return on Tech It Out, we're going to catch up with Norton, a leading cybersecurity brand, to hear about connected kids, how AI is putting our kids at risk, even more so than the usual sort of concerns about screen time and inappropriate websites. And we're going to talk how things have changed. You're definitely going to want to tune into this if you're a parent or grandparent. So when we return on Tech It Out, Norton joins us. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Tech It Out. If you've got kids who spend time online, which I would venture to say that would be most of them in today's day and age, you're going to want to hear this next interview with Norton, a leading global brand that focuses on providing security and privacy software and services. Norton just released its Cyber Safety Insights report on connected kids that explores, in part, how children are interacting with emerging technologies like AI and the associated risks with it. Joining us to break it all down is Michal Salát. He's Director of Threat Research for Norton. Welcome to the program, Michal. Good to chat with you.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Now, hey, before we talk about the Norton Cyber Safety Insights report, this time focusing on connected kids, please tell us a bit about Norton. You're much more than an antivirus company, right? I think that's where most people think of you, as an antivirus company, but you do so much more these days.
Yeah, we are way more than just an antivirus, because as the threat landscape progresses, purely antivirus just doesn't cut it anymore. So we focus a lot about digital privacy as well as identity protection. We have products ranging from the aforementioned AV through VPNs, identity protection, to password management, utilities to improve the performance of your computer. So we really aim to provide complex services and complex protection for anything you might want to do online.
All right. So for individuals and families and also businesses?
Yes, we have individual products, families, as well as small businesses.
Yeah. Okay. So a holistic approach to address the evolving threat landscape out there. So with that in mind, let's talk about this newly published report. What did you set out to find? Again, it was called the Norton Cyber Safety Insights Report, Connected Kids.
We are trying to understand how our customers operate online and what are the threats that they're concerned about. And some time ago, we ran a report on the effects of the cybersecurity on elderly people. And kids were the next group that we wanted to understand how they behave and how they operate online and how we can improve our protection for them.
All right. So this was a survey that set out to find how kids who are connected, as I mentioned off the top, how it's changing compared to just a few years ago, i.e. AI, and related threats associated with it. What were some of the key findings from your report?
So some of the key findings were that more than 1 in 4 parents say that their kids are very actively using AI, and they're using it for, let's say, digital companionship and digital help. So it's showing us an interesting trend where kids would rather go to this kind of robotic friend or digital friend rather than a parent or a real friend when they have an issue. So it also shows us that parents are worried about the use of AI by their kids. It's important to see the broader context, though, of the report, because as kids are using technology more and more, and we saw that a lot of kids use tablets by the age of 2. So like almost half of the kids get access. And we also see that like 1 in 4 kids use cell phone by the age of 8. They are inevitably going to be affected by threats online and by technology like AI. So parents are worried and try to understand the kids.
Yeah, go to any restaurant where kids are with their families and you'll see in many instances a tablet, an iPad on their lap. Yeah, that is not surprising at all. I want to ask you about cyberbullying in a moment, and I don't think that's a necessarily new phenomenon when it comes to AI, but just going back to turning to AI for emotional support. I think that's disconcerting to many people hearing this, that if a child has a problem, whether it's with their friends, a love interest, or something going on at home, that they're turning to AI like ChatGPT or Google Gemini or Copilot to talk to it and get advice. This is what you found in your report, that this is fairly common.
It's probably easier for the kids to talk to an AI agent than to parent, because it is stripped of emotions, and the AI agents, in their attempt to make themselves feel more alive, they agree with a lot of the things that we talk about with them. So there is a sense of verification and agreement about the problem. So if the kids come in and says they are not nice to me, the AI agent typically tries to say something like, yeah, I understand that it is hard to feel unappreciated or something like that. So it is easier probably for the kids to talk to an agent. At the same time, it is important to use AI as a tool. So it can be used for bad and it can be used for good. And we shouldn't understand the fact that kids are talking to AI as something really bad. We should rather use it as a tool and explain to them that if you need some immediate help and you don't feel like talking to a parent, go to an AI, but understand that the AI can't help you fix it. So it is important to tell it to your parent or tell it to somebody, to an adult, to be able to fix it and get better support in the real world.
Great point. We are chatting with Michal Salát, Director of Threat Research for Norton, a leading cybersecurity brand. We are talking about its Cyber Safety Insights report, this time on connected kids, that explores how children are interacting with emerging technologies like artificial intelligence. We just learned that several kids are turning to AI to talk to them about problems, about emotional issues. It's one thing for the AI to say to the child who's typing in the prompt or using their voice, depending on the platform, to say, I understand how you're feeling and, I get it. But it's another thing to give it advice, which is the next step, right? When the child or the tween or the teen says, what do I do about it? That's where things might not be good. But I like your advice about, for parents to know that their kids are doing this. That's number one. Number two is to encourage them to talk to an adult, whether it's someone at school, a therapist, parents themselves, about issues and not rely on AI. Yes, it's a tool, as you said, but when it comes to advice on emotional issues, that's where I think a lot of parents will be concerned. Were the folks at Norton surprised to learn that nearly a quarter of all kids said that they've been cyberbullied? That seems like a high number.
It definitely seems like a high number, but also we should realize that nowadays a lot of our lives happen online, and that's to a point impersonated.
More with Norton about its Connected Kids Cybersecurity Report when we return on Tech It Out. I'm your host, Mark Saltzman. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. We are chatting with Michal Salát. He is Director of Threat Research at Norton, a leading cybersecurity company. We're talking about its Insights report. This time it's tied to connected kids. Would it be fair to say, Michal, as we continue our chat, kids and tweens and teens need to think twice about what they upload because it could be forever, right? Even if they think it's going to disappear like a Snapchat photo, something inappropriate, there's ways to archive that. Obviously, this is a concern because it can be used against them, including ties to cyberbullying.
Yeah, when you go online, it's easy to put a video. Everybody now has a cell phone with a camera. So if the kid does something stupid or not really well thought through or embarrassing, chances are that it will get recorded and it will likely get shared on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. It's not like it used to be 10, 15, 20 years ago when it happened, and as soon as people forget about it, nobody really can get back to it and remember. But nowadays it's recorded, it's stored online, it never goes away, and it's basically easier not only to get feedback or whatever we want to call it from your peers in the school or the people that were there at the time when it happened, but also from anybody else who gets to the video later on. So the impacts are much bigger, and it might not be bullying when it started, but it can become bullying later on. So 24% after all is not that high, but it's also not a low number. So it should be without saying that kids and parents should talk to each other and have a healthy relationship. So when stuff like this happens, they can talk about it and they can help each other out.
So that's a great segue into my last question, and something you've addressed already, which is what to do about all of this. So I'm sure a lot of the parents are listening to this interview right now. They often feel helpless because the kids understand technology more than they do. That's the irony, yet it's our job to protect our children. So what can we do to combat some of these findings? Please walk us through any solutions, and don't be shy about recommending Norton as part of the solution.
Thanks for that. We have family products that help parents manage screen time for their kids. We see already from the report that 86% of parents actually try to manage screen time and limit what kids see online and how they work with the technology. What also is kind of visible that children are very familiar with technology in general and are actively finding ways how to get around protections put in by parents. So it shows that it's very important that the parents have a healthy relationship with their kids and talk about what's happening in the school and the physical world, as well as what they do in the virtual one online, because that has a similar impact on their lives. And we already mentioned the fact how soon kids use devices, like from the age of 2, like 40% of kids, or almost half of them, use tablets very early on. And it is easy for us parents to give a kid a tablet to keep it entertained while we're doing something else, but also that shouldn't come at cost of interaction between the kid and parent. We should basically keep the relationship going and keep the relationship healthy so that when the kids are bullied or when the kids feel down, they have somebody to come to and to talk to, because that is the best way how we can protect them, not only against regular bullying, but against cyberbullying and any other digital threat that is up.
Great point, Michal. I've often said the same thing, that as awkward as those conversations are with your kids about cyberbullying or sexting or any other modern day concerns, that it's better to air those out and have an open dialogue, because technology is a great tool, but there's got to be that human element as well. And then finally, where can we learn more about this report, Michal, and more about Norton as well?
Norton.com. We have all the products listed in there. You can use a trial version if you would like to try it for free.
And there's an area with blog posts, and you can learn more about the Norton Cyber Safety Insights Report, Connected Kids, right there. Michal, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. It's important information that you've shared. Thanks again. Have a great rest of your summer.
Thank you very much. Have a great summer too.
Awesome. All right. 2 things. 1, thank you for tuning in to Tech It Out. If you want to reach out to say hi on social media, let me know what you think of the show. Maybe you've got suggestions for upcoming guests or topics. I'll spell my name in a moment, but you can find me on X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, Blue Sky, YouTube, LinkedIn, and TikTok. Please do send me a note. And yeah, tell me where you're listening to Tech It Out from. I always get a kick out of the cities and towns that people tune into, sometimes faraway countries who stream the show. But if you're listening on your favorite local talk radio station, let me know the call letters for it. Or if you're tuning in via the podcast, love to hear what platform you like the best, like Spotify or Apple or Audible, TuneIn Radio, iHeart, etc. So it's Mark Saltzman, MarkSaltzman. Again, Mark Saltzman, Mark with a C, Saltzman with a Z. The second thing is that I wanted to give a shout out to SanDisk. They've got this new phone drive, USB-C. It looks like a regular flash drive, a thumb drive, but it's got a USB-C connection, and you can insert it into the bottom of an iPhone now that they have USB-C instead of a proprietary Lightning connector, or you can plug it into an Android phone or tablet, and it'll automatically back up all your important photos and videos so you don't run out of storage. You don't have to pay for a monthly cloud account either. SanDisk.com has more. They start at $36. All right, when we return on Tech It Out, a smart use of AI for those who are hard of hearing or deaf. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
As listeners of this show know, I get excited about technology that can enhance or enrich people's lives. And with that comes accessibility tools. to even the playing field for everybody. Yesterday, I spoke with a company here at AWS in Las Vegas called Lumen that has created a wearable headset to help those who are blind or vision impaired better navigate around city streets with tactical, like vibration, cues, almost like a guide dog that could nudge you a certain way. Now we're going to learn about a tool for those who are deaf or hard of hearing. We're joined by Yami Payano. She is CEO and co-founder of SignSpeak. It's very nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you. Thank you for having me here today.
Why don't we dive right in? What is SignSpeak?
So SignSpeak is essentially an interpreting agency that is led by AI. So we've created a proprietary software that would essentially do the two mechanisms that an interpreter does, which is interpret sign language into voice and then voice back into sign language. And then we also have a human force behind it, because at the end of the day, our goal is to provide accessibility, because there's 48 million deaf and hard of hearing in the US. There's a huge interpreter shortage. There's only 10,000 certified interpreters. That's like one interpreter for a lot of deaf people. So our goal is really making sure that deaf people get access everywhere. And in addition to that, our technology extends beyond interpretation to be able to now anything that has voice recognition now can be activated through sign language. So think about all the amazing AI agents that are being created that are voice activated, or Zoom summary, right? We all now use summarization at the end of our calls in Zoom and other video conferencing calls. So imagine being able to now have signers and deaf people in the workforce that can have that same tool as well.
All right. So would this tool, SignSpeak, be available to those who do online video chatting, like you're Zooming with your colleagues, or even on a consumer level with family and friends, and there's like a AI avatar in the corner that is signing what you are saying verbally, and then the person who is signing on the other end, who is deaf or hard of hearing, they can sign back, and then it's a simulated voice. Is that fair? And is it mostly for online video communication?
Yes. So, right. That's exactly right. There's a fake person that is in the center, and then the deaf person can sign and we can speak into it, and there would be a simulated voice. It is for online, and we do have a in-person app that the deaf consumers don't need to pay for. It is more for them to get used to the technology. This is brand new AI. So really making sure that the deaf consumer gets used to it from the comfort of their home. So we do offer it for them to use it at home, but we understand that the deaf community should not pay for their own accessibility. So we offer it at the consumer level, and we're also offering it to enterprises.
All right. So do you mean then, like just like you and I are talking in the same room right now, that if you had it on your phone, that this could kind of be a mediator between us two if you were deaf and I did not speak ASL?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, thanks for that. How does AWS help you deliver this service?
Yeah, I think that our infrastructure takes into account latency, because the real-time communication needs to happen instantaneously and in real time. So right now, our system is equal to the latency of an interpreter. So usually, because we're talking about ASL and English, two different, completely different languages with two different grammatical structure, there is about a 3 to 2 second lag time that any interpreter will have. And the deaf community is very used to it. What my team is super excited about AWS is sort of AWS Trainium, AWS Inforatio, which really allows us to train these models and operate them at a lower cost, so that then when we're talking about things like using smaller models on the phone or on device, well, now that is a reality. And we've seen what has happened with voice recognition, where now voice recognition is essentially everywhere. That is because we have smaller models that can do that, and AWS has allowed us to get there through some of their technology.
We are chatting with Yami Payano. She's CEO and co-founder of SignSpeak. That's the name of the company and the solution, the service?
Yes, correct. So please go to www.sign-speak.com.
All right, sign-speak.com to learn more. Yami, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your AWS reInvent show.
Thank you, and same to you.
And hey, thanks for tuning in to Tech It Out, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the program. We had 3 guests: Visa, Norton, and SignSpeak, a company that AWS has partnered with to help those who are deaf or hard of hearing. Speaking of Visa, thank you for your ongoing support on Tech It Out. If you want to hear this show all over again or share it with someone special, simply go to your favorite podcast platform, do a search for Tech It Out, and you can add my name as well, Mark Saltzman, Mark with a C, Saltzman with the Z, and you'll find this episode at the top of the page. It's episode 406 if you prefer to search that way. Thank you once again for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to catching up with you next week for another brand new episode of Tech It Out. Bye-bye for now.